కొంచెం హార్మోని కమ్మి లెవెల్ మానిటర్స్ ఎండింగ్ మాత్రం
జన జరే రే నా రే నా రే జరే నా జరి నా రే జరే రే జరే నా జరే నా జరే రే నా రే దేరే నా దేరే నా 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 దేరే నా बन लाडली घर गावो बन लाडली घर गावो बन लाडली घर गावो बन लाडली घर गावो मायरी आज बधावा बन लाडली घर गावो मायरी आज बधावा बन लाडली घर गावो बन लाडली घर गावो मायरी आज बधावा बन लाडली घर गावो लाडली 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 बन लाडली घर गावो बन लाडली घर गावो 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 बन लाडली आना आना जरा जरा बन लाडली बन लाडली गावो बन लाडली बन लाडली बन लाडली घर गावो मायरी आज बधावा बन लाडली nida pama baga ga mama ga kanida re ga ri gamata faga madani sada sada ni madani da ni madava paga mari ga ri da ban ladali ban ladali ban ladali ban ladali ladali gao ban ladali mada sada dha sa mada mada ni da da ma da za ma za ma ni ma da ma ni da ni da ba ma ga ri ga ri da ba la da ni da ma da ni da ba ma da ba ma ga ma da ba ma ga ba ma ga ri da ba la sa da da re re ga ma ma re ga ma da ni da ba ma da ba ma ga sa ni da ni da re ga ga ni da ma da ni da ba ma da ba ma ga sa ni da ba ma ga ri da ba la बन के मिले प्यार चाहो बन के मिले प्यार चाहो उबट मंदी चल लगाओ उबट मंदी चल लगाओ अच्छे बन के गाओ बजाओ रिझाओ मायरी आज मायरी आज बधावा बधावा बन लाडली घर गाओ बन लाडली घर गाओ ban ladali ban ladali mada sa sa ni ri sa sa ni ri sa ri sa ni sa da ri ga ri sa ga ri sa sa da ma sa da sa da ma sa da ma da sa बन के मिले प्यार चाहो उबट मेहंदी खेल लगाओ अच्छे बन के गाओ रिझाओ मायरी आज बधावा बन लाड निधने दबा मदा बमा गावा धने धारी दबा मदा बमा गा ममा करे गा करे धने दा धने निधने दबा मदा बमा गा ममा करे धने दा बन लाडली गरे गरे धने धरे गा गरे दा ममा दा गरे धने धरे रे धरे गरे गा मा धने धरे गा गरे धने ने दबा मा गा धने धरे गा गरे धने धने ने दबा मा दा ममा गा ममा गरे गरे धने दा बन लाडली बन के मिले प्यार जाओ खूबट में जी चेल लगाओ अच्छे बन के गाओ बजाओ रिझाओ मायरी आज बजावा बन लाडली घर गाओ बन लाडली घर गाओ मायरी आज बजावा बन लाडली बन लाडली बन लाडली घर गाओ.
Namaskaram. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. That was the Raga Todi, Miyaki Toi. Since Todi again is a family of ragas, Miyaki Toi specifies the particular version or kind or type of Todi. It is considered to be the original Todi, the head of the family, the head of the parivar is Miyaki Toi. Today's Lec Dem is going to be more of, it's not going to be technical, it's not going to be very musicological, it's going to be more of observation and relating to how the ragas, that certain ragas that are said to have been borrowed into the Carnatic tradition from the Hindustani. I specify said to have because this process of lending and borrowing, an interaction between the two systems, seems to be as ancient as the two systems itself. The sense of being very open and broad-minded, especially for the Carnatic music tradition. We as a culture, and I am very proud to say this, are very open to taking things which we feel are very beautiful, irrespective of what the source is or other boundaries of language and, politics, social, political barriers. We generally in the south of India seem to be very free of that. Idu nammaloddu, adu avaloddu. This concept of us versus the other seems to be much less. This is just a general observation. Correct? That's why we have been eating biryani for centuries now, whereas in the north their idlis are still very, very bad. Hello, yeah. Because it's with great pride that we have to say that right from the time of Venkatamakhi, there is very clear evidence and a clear acknowledgement, although in the sense of just one sentence, we find a record of this acknowledgement that this raga has come from the north. Right? And continuing in that tradition and lineage, Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar and Sriram Dīkṣitar, who comes later through his 1904 publication of the Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshani, which includes very short, pithy, compact description of the raga, and the composition that contains the raga. Okay, this is the raga which is named Shivapanturali during Muddu Venkatamakhi's time itself. Shiva Pantuvarali is the name also given in Sriram Dīkṣitar's Sangita Sampradaya Pradarshini. We call it today Shubha Pantuvarali. Why did the name change happen? We don't know. I have a theory which is slightly divisive, but so I will reserve that theory of mine. But the word Shiva Pantuvarali is reserved for, or denotes the value of that Gandhara. The speciality of the Raga or this Murchana is the Gandhara. That's why we have a Shivaranjani. Something that evokes a great sense of seriousness, contemplation. This is just my own thought. You are welcome to disagree. And hence, and this prefix of Shiva before a raga is also found in other later ragas. My guru named a raga based on Abhogi, but which had the Madhyama of the Shiva Pantuvarali. Sarigama dhasa sadama garisa. Right? So, the word Shiva resonates in the nomenclature. Nammalukku Shiva Pantuvarali, which we call Shubha Pantuvarali today, and the composition of Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar in this Sri Satyanarayanam Upasmahe, which doesn't find a place in the Sangita Sampradaya Pradarshini. The Sangita Sampradaya Pradarshini is a compilation of about 220 compositions of Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar. It also has compositions of Ramaswami Dīkṣitar, Venkatamakhi, Geetams, Sancharas of Subbarama Dīkṣitar also, and other composers also it has. So it is still an incomplete set. That is something which we have to acknowledge. There are many compositions which are very significant in the Carnatic music repertory today, which are not found in the Sangita Sampradaya Pradarshini. So to take the SSP as the beginning and end of it all will be a great loss. It's almost ridiculous. But then we have the great Karna Parampara, the tradition of Guru Shishya. Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar himself has a very hoary tradition of Shishyas. He went and taught. He travelled all over the country, more so in Tamil Nadu, Kanchipuram, Mayavaram, Tanjavur, Thiruvaiyar, Thiruvarur, Ettayapuram. He had groups of students in all these places. And we have, through these students, and some of these students went and settled in other places of South India and developed Shishya Paramparas there. So we have these compositions available to us through the oral tradition. And so Sri Satyanarayanam Upasmahe, which all of you have heard that composition, Ketirgela. Most of you. Only two compositions come to mind, Ennalu of Tyagaraja and Sri Satyanarayanam when we talk about Shubha Pantuvarali. So if we were to look at, we will not go into the authenticity of the version, okay? That's a very dangerous area and a different topic. But generally speaking, I will try to see how the Miyaki Toi that I just sang, the Murchanas, the prayōgas, how they are reflected in the way I have learned Sri Satyanarayana. Okay, I shall take up 7-8 such ragas. So the prayoga of Daivata being, and Subbarama Dīkṣitar also says that, Daivata and Gandhara being very important. The prayoga, even though it's a Sampurna scale, Shubha Pantuvarali, Sarega Ma Pa Dha Ni Sa, it never goes that way in the Kriti. Sarega Pamadha. So that particular Vakra Prayoga. Or Sarega Madhapa. Or Pamada or Madhapa. These two form the crux of the raga. Da pa pa ga Pamada. Right? Ga da pa pa ga Mari ga ri sa. So Shri Satya Narayanam Upasmahe. Right? Dhapa is not Padha, it is Dhapa. Upasmahe Nityam Satyajnanandamayam Gamamada Sarvam Vishnumayam Sri. That Nigarisa. That also, if you see, reflects exactly how Todi, Miyaki Toi also works. Right? I sang 5 or 7 minutes of Miyaki Toi. I hope you have retained a little bit of it. The prayōgas are Nigarisa da da. The Nyasa on Devata. The Varjya of Panchama while going up. Gamada Nida Pa. So the Panchama gets revealed very beautifully on the avaroha krama. So the Kriti tells me, or very beautifully informs me, that though we have called it a different raga name, it still holds the aesthetics of Todi, Miyaki Toi. We have fitted it into a complex of the 72 Rāgāngas system of Venkatamaki, but in terms of the aesthetics, it is still Miyaki Toi, correct? Not that the Panchama is not important, but its importance is third in line after the Gandhara and Devata. Right? Vasavadi Pujitam Vara Munigana Bhavitam Dasa. That Swarakshara also tells me how Dasa Dava. Right? Dasa Jana. That prayoga Dasa Riga. Dhasa prayoga. It's not Dhanisa. Dhasa Dava. Maga Maga Mada Sadava. That Dasa Dapa prayoga with the Nishada as part of the meend, as part of the Jaru. Jaru is what we call, is loosely corresponding to the what is called in Hindustani the meend. Meend is the beautiful curving connection between two ragas. It is a jivan of Hindustani music. So that aesthetic also, the way I have learnt it, is incorporated. Generally, Carnatic aesthetic, the jiva of Carnatic aesthetic is the Kampita. If you were to single one gamaka, which is very critical to the Carnatic aesthetic, not that the other 50, we have the 16, 15 types of gamakas, 22 types, so many different theoreticians have come up with different kinds of different typology for gamakas. But Carnatic Pata, the Kampita and its plethora of varieties, Hrisva Kampita, Dirgha Kampita, all of them are very, very critical. You cannot imagine a Todi or a Saveri or a Sankarabharanam without Kampita. Kampita is very, very critical. We don't fully realize the value of the Kampita and its varieties. Right? So, whereas the jivan of the Hindustani aesthetic, the North Indian aesthetic, is, I think, these are my views, is the meend or the ullasita. Ullasita we also term as Jaru. Da pa ma pa ga ga
ga.
The descent from ma to ga. Yerakka jaru, etra jaru, these are also some Tamil versions of the same term. Yerakka jaru means while coming down the curve. Etra jaru means while going up. Yeah, so the treatment of Dīkṣitar in the adaptation of this raga, it is not an adaptation because, like I said, it has already been adopted. There is a difference between the word adopted and adapted. Adopted is when it comes into the fold of Carnatic music, which is much earlier. Adaptation we come to know through the Kriti. Correct? Without the Kriti, how would we know what the adaptation is? But then, the adaptation includes, like I said, the primary aesthetic of the Kampita, which also finds a place in our Shubha Pantuvarali, Shiva Pantuvarali. Ga ga ma da da. Notice the Devata.
Ma ga ma da da.
Devatata vandu panchamata otti, madhyamata pratimadhyamata panchamata otti. அப்படிதான் நமக்கு கம்பிதம் சொல்லி கொடுத்திருக்கா.
Mama.
Right? Rarely will you find mama as a clean plain note. That is the aesthetic. So even when you are singing Shubha Pantuvarali, even though the adaptation is the meaned, the Kampita also finds a place.
Pama pagaga.
இந்த காந்தாரத்தை ரொம்ப கம்பித்த கொடுத்தா அது வராளியா இதாவது ஒரு டவுட் வரதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு. Right? So the proportion or the how much of that will maintain the lakṣaṇa lakṣya of the raga.
Pama pagaga mari gari ri gari sa sagari gaga pama da da.
I will not use these kampitas when I am singing Miyaki Toi. So the adaptation is a very beautiful and intelligent adaptation of the Hindustani aesthetic of the meaned, right? Into, whereas Sri Satya Nara. So the meaned is also there. That is the Ullasita is also there. The Kampita is also there. These are very practical things which I am sure musicians among you would be aware of. I am not saying anything which is rocket science here. I am just trying to connect the dots as to how adaptation happens. Right?
Vaishajati.
Suddenly Dīkṣitar realizes, oh, Panchamata romba vittutome. So he begins the charanam with that. Right?
Vaishajati.
So he breaks the rule of the Madapa. He begins on pa itself.
Vaishajati karanam vatu.
This brika is also part of the Carnatic aesthetics.
Vatu
Vesha. But he can never leave the Pamadapa prayoga.
Vesha Dharinam Pamada.
Right?
Dharinam Kaliyuga Prasannam Vasu Pradana Nibunam.
These are all continuous jarus.
Nibunam Matsya Kurma Varahadi Dasavatara.
Again, the Dhamada is very hauntingly repeating.
Dasavatara Prabhava Shankarachakrabjahastam Guru Guhanutam Prasidham Sri.
In Hindustani, this is a morning raga, Miyaki Toi, and hence it is what is called Uttaranga Pradhana. Generally, morning ragas are Uttaranga Pradhana, evening night ragas are Purvanga Pradhana. That is, the raga is more, its natural region of operation is the upper part of the octave. அதனால தான் அவர் உத்தராங்கத்திலாம் பிகினே பண்றார். Because the character of the raga, the mood of the raga is established much better in the upper part of the octave. Okay. So when you go into the composition and when you do Manodharma, you are able to see these connections of the adaptation. The Kriti presents the adaptation to us, we internalize it, and then we present the raga in that form. Pa ba ga ga, pade pa ba ga ga mari ga, pa ma da da ni da pa, ga ma da ni da pa ma da pa ga, ni da pa ma da pa ga. See, when I am singing the Carnatic Shiva Panturali, ga ma da ni da pa ma da pa ga, ga ma da da pa ma ga ma da ni da pa ma da pa ga, sa ni ga ri sa ni da pa ma da ni da pa ma da pa ga. Madani dam pohum nariya. In my way of presenting the raga, ma ba da ni da pa will not be so common as ma da ni da pa ma ni da ga ni da pa ma da pa ma ba ga ga pa pa ma ga ri ga ga. That Kampita also will be there. Pa ma da pa ma ga ri ga ri ma ga ga pa ma ni da ga ni da pa ma ga pa ma ga ma ri ga ri ga ri da ni da ma ga ma ri ga sa ga ri ni ga pa ma da the nyasa on ga, right? Da da pa ma ga ma ba da ga ni ga ma ba da ni da ga da ni ga ri da ni da ri ga ga ri da ni da pa ma ga pa ma da pa ma ga ma ri ga ri ga ri da ni. So the Gandhara keeps repeating. This is how we internalize the raga, through repeatedly engaging with the kriti, right? So idu Manodharma oda jaasti poruttam vaarthe vandu raga dharma. Because this is not a creative process in the truest sense. Whatever is contained in the kriti, the raga is contained in the kriti, I internalize it and I'm just presenting it in a different way. You understand? The myth of being creative on the spot and spontaneous exploration is not true. A lot of it, 75% of what we are singing is somebody else's material. Every artist has to have the honesty to accept that. It is not some huge volcanic kind of creativity that comes in you. Correct? Even the composers have accepted that. The raga swarupa is all given to you, and we are just packaging it and presenting it differently. Correct? Anyway, so the adaptation of Miyaki Toi into Shiva Pantuvarali is very fascinating in the sense that how it maintains the aesthetic and wraps it around the Hindustani aesthetic and wraps it around into the Carnatic idiom. Yeah? Like I said, today is going to be very observational in terms of the things that I say. The second example is a little more far-fetched example, but something which I feel is very true. Two ragas, Jujawanti from the Hindustani tradition and the raga Naga Gandhari in Carnatic. Again, Naga Gandhari is existing in the nomenclature during Venkatamakhi's time itself. There is a Geetam of his that is presented in the Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshini. But of course, these Geetams and Sancharas, etc., which are presented there, we are not aware of because there is no teaching tradition of the same. Unless there is a teaching tradition, a Guru Shishya tradition, kritis don't survive. Correct? So we have to be eternally grateful to our Guru Parampara, where we have learnt these compositions. So even this kriti that I am going to mention, Sarasi Janaba Sodari, is not there in the Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshini. Correct? But I learnt it from my mother, who learnt it from her guru, who learnt it from her guru, his guru, whatever, it continues. Volume down. John Puri. Because this connection was not mentioned, we have recently adopted John Puri as a raga in its original name itself. Right now we have compositions in John Puri. Hebbar sir is here, so one of my favorite compositions is a Dasar Pada in John Puri. But actually, there was no necessity for a new raga, because Naga Gandhari is nothing but John Puri. We'll see how that happens. I shall sing the swaras. Re ma pa pa ma pa ga ri sa ri ma pa sa da pa pa sa da pa da ma pa ga ri sa ri ni sa da pa da da Ellarum John Puri கேட்டிருக்கேன். John Puri is nothing but Naga Gandhari of the Dīkṣitar tradition. पायल की जनकार बैरनिया पायल की जनकार बैरनिया जनन बाजे कैसे मोरी पिया से मिलन को जाऊं अब मैं पायल की जनकार बैरनिया पायल की जनकार पायल की जनकार 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 बैरनिया पायल की पायल पायल की जनकार बैरनिया जनन बाजे कैसे मोरी पिया से मिलन को जाऊं मैं पायल की जनकार पायली पायल पायल जन कार बैरनिया 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 पायल पायल की जनकार बैरनिया रे मा पा पा धा मा पानी नी दा पा 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 रे मा पानी नी दा पा रे मा रे गा सा रे रे सा रे रे मा पा सा दा पा सा सा नी दा रे मा पा गा रे दा सा दा पायल की
Baraniya Jana Jana
Padanisa varum, Panisa varum, Padasa varum. In the
Padanisa
the same phrases happened in the way Sriram Dīkṣitar has explained. He says that.
Panisa Dava Padasa Dava.
So it defies the idea of a scale being. This belongs to
Sarigama Padanisa.
what we generally today call Nadabhairavi, right? But even the Varjya Prayoga has variations.
Padasa Panisa Padanisa.
All three variations of the Uttaranga are presented in the Raga, both in the Carnatic as well as the Hindustani.
Payal ki jankar Janakar Janakar Payal ki jankar Baraniya janana baje kaise mori piya ke milan ko jaऊं अब मैं पायल की जनकार जनकार कार जनकार पायल की जनकार जनकार पायल की जनकार बरनिया पायल की जनकार बरनिया जनन बाजे कैसे मोरी पिया के मिलन हो जाऊं अब मैं पायल की जनकार बिरहा से तन तापत पत है बिरहा से तन तापत पत है अंग अंग सोला गीला अंग अंग सोला गीला सदा रंगीले उठत जिया पायल की जनकार बरनिया जनकार पायल की पायल की जनकार पायल की जनकार पायल की जनकार पायल की जनकार बरनिया पायल की जनकार बरनिया पायल की जनकार बरनिया पायल की जनकार बरनिया
If I were to do ālāpana in Naga Gandhari, it will be almost the same. Di mama tada na 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 na. It will sound like Jujawanti. Sarasi janabha sodari shankari pahima. Right? Sarasi janabha sodari. That pasadava is the same murchana. Sarasi janabha sodari shankari. Here it is. Pani dari gazani dabama. Like I said, pasa irke panisa vandach. Rendume vandach. Sarasi janabhaso dari shankari pagimam. Manipa magariga. That magariga sa, that prayoga, which is also part of John Puri's description. Sarasi janabhaso Panidavadama. So dari Shanka Panidarigada Shankari Pagimam Sarasija Pasanidavamagariga Sarasija Navaso. This is a Sangati that a later musician has added. Okay, it is definitely not Dīkṣitar's sense of structure of a composition doesn't seem to include the Sangati. It is so complete in its singularity. The musical line and the Sahitya is so singular. When I mean singular, means there is nothing more to be said about it. But musicians have this bad habit of saying more and more things about something. So we keep adding things. Samarthya comes in the way of parampara. Samarthya comes in the way of sampradaya. Okay, this is a very beautiful line. I just came up with it. But that is the truth of it. Or Manodharma creativity is accompanied by a negative, which is called, in Tamil we say, Adiya Prasangitana. To prove that you can do better. If you really think you can prove, you can do better than Dīkṣitar, then even God cannot save you. So we think that there is embellishment happening, but maybe something doesn't require it to be embellished. Correct? Rasam is good by itself. Nowadays they put some pineapple thinking that it will embellish the rasam. I will give such silly examples, but they help me understand. Alright? So embellishment sometimes is a matter of ego and not a matter of musical value. Right? But யாரோ ஆட் பண்ணியிருக்கா எனக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்தா நான் பாடிட்டு இருக்கேன் அவ்வளோதான். But I am aware of that. Varada bhaya karakamale. The mapa ni nisa, that is given. Sharanagata vatsale. Varada, anga the rigasa. Varada bhaya karakamale. Sharanagata Vasale Sarasija Nabhasodari Shankari Pahima. Right? So you see how it echoes the same aesthetics of, in terms of its Vakra, Magarigasa, right? And also in terms of its Varjya. Sarima, that's the important Varjya. Rima pa sada pa, Rima pa magari za Rima pa. So Rima pa and avarohaṇa the Gandhara mixed appearance, like in Jujawanti. Rima pa ni da ba da ma ba sa da va ma pa magari. So Rima magari za Rima magari za Rima pa ni da da ba ma ba ri za ni da ba. Pani za ri ga za ni za pani za ri ga za ri za ni da ba ni da ba da ma pa magari ga sa rasi ja. Navasodari. If I were to do Manodharma in this, it will be like this. Will the Manodharma for Jujawanti be different? Not at all. Right? I have very, very good musicians here. See, Ramana is there. So, Jaunpuri, ipdida vaspe, ipdida padve. Naga Gandhari da. So, Naga Gandhari is an adaptation of Jaunpuri. Only thing, somebody renamed it. The word Jaunpuri, okay, I will be very blunt here. The word Jaunpur indicates a certain Mughal influence. Okay. In fact, there are musicians in Hindustani who renamed it because of a particular baggage it comes with as Jujawanti. You know, Kumar Gandharva called it Jujawanti because the Jaunpur was a seat of the Mughals. So such political things come in nomenclature. So somewhere, like I said, this raga name is there in the SSP and there is a Gita attributed to Venkatamaki also. So it has been renamed much before Dīkṣitar's time. But the possibility of this being an adaptation of a melody heard somewhere in the north is a very plausible one. Correct? Can you see the synergy between the two? Between Naga Gandhari. The name sounds very scary. Naga Gandhari. Many times the name, it will have Gandhar in its name. But in the Ragathla vande Gandharam romba alpa prayoga. Pamagariga. I don't do that. Gandhar al nyasam ille. Jaunpuri ille. Sadimma. Naga Madhyama nu peru vechirukla. I don't know. There might be other deity or somebody would have been there. Some devata or some idol or shrine of worship would have been there as Naga Gandhari, as a goddess. Huh? Kekale, ninga pesaradu kekada.
I think it is also called as Naga Nandini.
Naga Nandini, yeah. Okay. Illa namlukku we have this penchant for naming after goddesses. So Naga Nandini, Naga Gandhari. I'm starting with morning ragas. So Jaunpuri also is a morning raga. Miyaki Toi also is a morning raga. Now we shall do a raga called Ramakali. Ramakali very clearly is a Pandora's box as far as the interpretation of it. Sriram Dīkṣitar places it in the 15th Varga of Malava Gaula in his Raganga system, but adds a note saying it has to be sung with Pratimadhyama. That note reveals that it is the idea behind it is the Ramakali of Hindustani. The Ramakali of Hindustani is considered belonging to the thought of Bhairav. Bhairav corresponds to our Malava Gaula, but with the Pratimadhyama also making an appearance. Correct? Pratimadhyama and Komal Nishad, which is our Kaisiki Nishada, both of them happen in Ramakali of the north. Right? So that note that Sriram Dīkṣitar adds, that it has to be sung with Pratimadhyama, is problematic because it is placed under Malava Gaula. Malava Gaula is Shuddha Madhyama. Correct? Are you following what I am saying? So the adaptation has been one of sanitization. South Indian musicology always believes in sanitizing things. We don't like anything which is blurry or which is slightly doubtful. That has been our penchants. We like to organize things. And in the process, some of these slightly variations of a raga are not, we don't take very kindly to it. That is why the whole idea of Vivaditvam is never an issue in the north. But in Carnatic music, we carry the notion of how can there be two values of the same swara? It has to be sanitized. One of them has to be removed. that seems to be, it's an aesthetic choice. I don't disagree with it. The minor second is supposed to produce certain dissonance. Even in Western theory, harmony la minor seconds are a big no-no, because they create a kind of a resonance which is not desirable or which is not likable, let us say. But this itself is a subjective opinion. Anyway, so to have two values of the same note, same swara, was considered anathema. One new word for you for today. Anathema is something which is to be avoided. And Dīkṣitar had great regard for this theory. He didn't believe in it very clearly. But he tried to always make sure it was very minimal and it was disguised. We shall see how he does that even in Jujawanti and Jujawanti. But that idea that either you sing Suddha Madhyama or you sing Prati Madhyama. What is this of singing both of them? So this tendency of avoiding two values of the same swara, you see it in the adaptation of Hamir Kalyani. We will see that. You see it in the adaptation of so many ragas. Because these ragas were beautiful. You should remember that Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar spent a lot of his time traveling in North India. He stayed 5 years in Kashi itself. So he would have heard a lot of Drupad. 250 years back, Khayal was still trying to make an entrance. The predominant North Indian classical form was Drupad. Ellarum Drupad ketirkela. So the idea of Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar's structure of the composition, the long lines, the Vilamba Kala, all of them probably stem from that initial influence of Drupad. Professor T.R. Subramaniam and me, we presented a paper in Delhi substantiating this. And it was their ideas, because we don't keep historical facts, right? We don't keep records. So the best we can do is guess intelligently, extrapolate back into the past and see what we can get from it and be informed by that process. If it seems to be logical, reasonable and justifiable, I can share it with you. That's the way it works. Correct? Because the historical theoretical basis for our classical music systems, because we are such bad record keepers, is always going to be questionable. We can always get away with saying anything. Ava ipdi paadna, ava ipdi paadna. Ava vandu testify panna porala. Nobody is going to come and say. So we get away with these things because our records are not very complete. Anyway, so Ramakali, this raga, certain prayōgas, definitely the word is a very good indication of the fact that Ramakali has existed. It has 14 names. Ram Kriti, Ramakuta, but today that raga is known as Ramakali. Okay? I shall sing briefly Ramakali of the Hindustani. Today I am going to sing more of Hindustani because Carnatic ennodu kaade konjam pulichu poiduthu. Right? So I hope it's a welcome change. But the important things of the Gandhara being Nyasaswara, of the Alpa Prayoga, the Pratimadhyama is an Alpa Prayoga. It's a passing note. But it exists. Even the Nishada, the Kaisik Nishada is a passing note. The Pratimadhyama is a Anuswara. Paga maga. Ange madhyama irukku Pratimadhyama. Kekrada? Paga maga. Paga maga. Mada pa. Dama paga marisa. Gamadada Papa Gamaga. This Gandhara Nyasa is echoed in the Ramakali composition. Right? We will see that.
Gama da da pa 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 gama da da sa da pa ga pa ma ga ma re Ram naam jap le e man Ram naam jap le e man Ram jap le e man Ram naam jap le e man Ram naam jap le e man और कछु नहीं आवे काम तेरो राम नाम जप ले मन राम नाम जप ले मन और कछु नहीं आवे काम दुख भवताप निवारण मन राम नाम जप ले राम नाम जप ले गम धा पदा गम पम गा ज ज सा दा पा ज ज ग म ज ज ग प म ri सा ग म ब ग म दा सा ri सा दा सदा राम नाम जप ले तू राम नाम जप ले जय जीना दरना ना 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 so सनि दा दा ब ब गा म गा
is a very stock phrase in Ramakali.
Dada ba ma ba ga ma ga ba da ni da ba ma ba da da ba ma ba ga ma ga ni da ba ma ba da da ba ma ba ga ma ga sa ga ba da ni da da ba da ni da ba ma ba da da ba ma ba ga ba ma ma ji sa da ma ba ma Ram naam jap le मन और कछु नहीं आवे काम दुख भवताप निवारण मन राम नाम जप ले हे ना
Hindustani music lo oru problem undu paadradhukku. The idea of singing something compactly is exceptionally disturbing. In Carnatic, we can sing a 1-minute raga, right? The tradition is such, 1 minute ālāpana pannalam. Hindustani la minimum 5-10 minutes paadata or mari or mind is restless. The reason being, the raga is developed in all its kala pramanas, everything together. In Carnatic, the Manodharma is split. ālāpana, Tāla, niraval, kalpanaswara. Hindustani le illame sendu varadnala, unless you do all bits of it in, the whole thing is one composite whole. Correct? I will do kalpanaswara, I will do sargam, I will do tan, I will do boltan, I will do akar. Everything is one body. So hence, and all kala pramanas. There is no different kid kalam, male kalam. Illa kala pramana is presented as a whole. Is it making sense to you for those who have heard Hindustani? So avalla vande 10 நிமிஷத்துக்கு கீழே பாடவே முடியாது. ஒரு நிறைவு இருக்காது. நம்மளோடத்துல வந்து ஒரு 1 minute ālāpana பாடினாலே some great maestros ஒரு sense of நிறைவு. They'll give you a sense of completeness.
राम नाम जप ले मन 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 राम नाम जप जप ले मन राम नाम जप ले मन और कछु नहीं आवे काम दुख भवताप निवारण मन राम नाम जप ले गम दागा 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 पम बनिदा पम बनिदा पदम बगा गम बगम रे सगम पगम धरि धरि दादा राम राम जप ले राम नाम जप ले जय हरि जिदनार Ramakali is very different from Bhairav in the sense of it is a Madhyanga Raga, that is in the middle of the octave. Bhairav is a Purvanga Pradhana Raga. Gamari. You've heard Bhairav? Bhairav is a very important Raga in Hindustani. But what the character of the region of the exploration also defines its personality. So in the region of Pa, we will see how it corresponds to even the composition of Dīkṣitar. Jere, jere, na, ra, na, ra. Jere, na, ra. And the gamakas and dwelling of the notes is very minimal compared to Bhairav. Bhairav where sa da 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 ba, that is Bhairav Devat. Ramakali Devat is sa da 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 ba. Short phrases, not lingering on a note. All that is part of the personality or lakshya of the raga. Jera, that's all. Gada is not Gada. That is Bhairav. For those who may appreciate such fine details. So raga is much more than the notes that comprise it. The treatment of every swara, where you rest, where you take a break, what you expand, the way in which you will hit certain notes. Padanida, that is not Ramakali. Padada, that the way in that mean Padada pa pa ga ma ga gamada. If you call yourself a Rasika of Nada, you have to engage with these things. Otherwise we can keep saying this is corresponding to that, that is corresponding to this. That's all. That is Ramakali. The reason why I say this, Carnatic musicians in their enthusiasm for Hindustani Rāgā-s will think they know to play Basant Bahar or these Rāgā-s, but they fall short of the way the Raga is supposed to be. Just the notes of a Miya Malhar or a Basant Bahar does not alone. Can you sing a Bhairavi with just the notes? No. You have to know the lakṣaṇa, the lakṣya of each note. Sagari ga ma va da ni sa ni da ba ga ri sa. Adu vandatane Bhairavi, right? Sagari ga ma pa da ni sa da ni da ba ma ga ri sa. Partner, that's not Bhairavi. Anyway, so it's important for you to understand the nunukkangal, the subtleties, the nuances of the Hindustani Raga also. Please.
each there seems to have understood these things, because I find that in these adaptations.
Jara Nirina Jana na 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 Jara na Jana na Ram naam jap le man aur kachhu nahi aave kaam tere tu kabavada nivarana man Ram naam jap le तुम ही हो प्रतिपालनहार तुम ही हो प्रतिपालनहार सच्चिदानंद रूप तुम्हारे तुम ही हो प्रतिपालनहार सच्चिदानंद रूप तुम्हारे ज्ञान धरत मुनिगण सा सगरो पाप निवारण मन राम नाम जप ले राम नाम जप राम नाम जप रे मन राम नाम जप राम नाम जप राम नाम जप रे मन राम राम कलि कलुष विराम जरा प्रिल्लोम राम राम कलि कलुष विराम जरा लालोम राम राम कलि कलुष विराम धरा लालोम तीसरा एकमा போடலாம் ரூபகமா போடலாம் bookல வந்து ரூபகம் தான் போட்டு கொடுத்திருக்கு but that is the original rupakam we never put nowadays Rama Rama Kali Kalusha Virama Dhara Prillaloma Rama. That is the Pallavi. Romba kutti kriti. But like I said, the adaptation is very beautiful because the importance is given to Gandhara. And saga ma pa dha sa sada pa ma ga ri sa. Right? So in the aroha given in the book, sa ri ga pa dha sa sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa is what is given. Sa ri ga pa dha sa audava sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. Okay. But the importance for Ga and that particular one meaned, I learnt this from my Guru Vishwasa, T. Vishwanathan. So on the Rama, so compact. It's not like the Maya Malavagowda. Adela illa. They're very compact, Devata, very compact. Rama, Rama. Kali Kalusha Ga Tanyasa on Ga Virama Virama Dara brillaloma.
I have a feeling that the first Sangati itself would have been with Chinnani.
Rama Padani Padamapa.
But of course, since it has probably been sanitized, I am not casting any aspersions. I have tried singing it with the Pratimatima now and then, the way it comes in Ramakali.
Rama Rama Kali Kalusha Vira Dara Brillaloma Rama. Azhaga irukku. Right? Because that it resonates with the idea of Ramakali. But like I said, the way I have learnt it is with that. There is a version which people sing which is fully with Pratimatima. Rama Rama Kali Kalusha Virama. Apdi padra. I've heard some people. Because that is taking Sriram Dīkṣitar very seriously. In sense, this is usually sung with Pratimatima. But then what is it doing in Malava Gaula Varga? That is the big question. Okay. Sri Mahija Kama Suguna Dama Parandama Sham. Sri Mahija Kama Suguna Dama Parandama Shama Mamava Shiva Guruga Sutra Vibhuta Viruta Nama Da. The Chittaswaram Da Pa Maga Gapada Nida Da Pa Maga Da Pa Pa Maga Da Pa Maga Pa Maga Maga Riga Da Pa Maga Maga Riza Nida Sa Riga Pa Gada Pa Ganida Pa Maga Pada Sa Garida Nida Riza Nida Pa Maga Sa Nida Pa Maga Riga Rama. Even the tempo at which I was taught the composition is this medium tempo. And Ramakali also is sung in that tempo. There are recordings of Gangubai Hangal, Bhimsen Joshi and all sing. So you can go home and listen to Ramakali and see how the counterpart in Carnatic, the adaptation of this Raga Ramakali in Carnatic, within the bounds of the Carnatic aesthetic, how Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar has captured, adapted the Raga. The Gandhara, Da Pa Maga, compactness, Ga Pa Da Ni Da Da Pa Maga, Da Pa Maga, Da Pa Pa Maga, Maga Riga, Da Pa Maga, Maga Riza, Ni Da Sa Ni Ga Pa, Ga Da Pa, Ga Ni Da Pa Maga, Pa Da Sa Da, Ga Ri Da Ni Da Ri Da Ni Da Pa Maga, Ri Da Ni Da Pa. That can be a very beautiful place. Ri Da Ni Da Pa. And believe me, நம்ம யாரெல்லாம் பெரியவா 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 சொல்றோமோ எல்லாரும் things மாத்திருக்கா. Okay, don't be under the impression that to change something for the beautiful or what you genuinely think, it is not blasphemy. In fact, Carnatic music changes so much. In my lifetime of 55 years of listening to Carnatic music, I have seen it change like nobody's business. So even the idea that idu vandu paddhati, we have these very, very beautiful terms which justify its antiquity. Paddhati, parampara, sampradaya. I shall sing a composition which indicates just that in the raga Hamir. So it includes change. The flow of tradition includes change. Let us embrace that.
Let us be honest with ourselves. In my lifetime, the way Maru Balka was sung by Semangudi Mama is very different from the way we sing it today. Correct? Anyway. So that is Ramakali. Let us move on to something else. Again, an adaptation. Here this is also again a very problematic area of the raga of Hamir Kalyani. The word Hamir Kalyani is not there in the book at all. It is called Hamviru. How many of you are aware that this Kalyani postfix is most probably done by somebody who wants to include it in the gamut of the Kalyani family? Right? So the raga is only Hamviru. The raga Yamuna Kalyani is also wrong, the naming. The raga is called only Yamuna. There is no Kalyani to it. I've done a very beautiful document on Yamuna and Yaman Kalyan and Nama Kalyani. You can check it out. It's a 2-hour presentation. So I left it out for this purpose. We shall deal with this raga that we are generally referring to as Hamir Kalyani. We are generally referring to it as Hamir Kalyani. All of you are familiar with Parimala Ranganatham and Purahara Nandana. Correct? So we shall deal with how in these two versions I see there is a confusion between the raga Hamir and Kedar in the north. Both the ragas are very similar. Both of the ragas, the speciality is the two madhyamas in the major scale. Right? So let me see if we can handle that. It's more of Kedar and less to do with Hamir. Correct? So we have to also understand the times at which Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar probably heard these ragas. We have no way of knowing how Hamir was sung 250 years back. Do we know? Does anybody know how, like I am saying, in 50 years itself ragas are changing. 250 years, how much they would have changed. So the Hamir that we sing and the Hamir that Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar heard, which inspired him to compose this, adopt that raga as a composition, we have no way of knowing. And these two ragas are very close. If he had heard these ragas sung by a non-expert, நம்மளோட்ல இருக்கு ஒரு காம்போஜி பாடுறத ஹரி காம்போஜி phrase, if you are not an expert musician, it will come. Right? Or Mukhari பாடுறத பைரவி வந்துடும் if you are not a very good musician. So we don't know how this confusion happened, that it is named Hamviru, but it has more of Kedar. These are all questions which we don't understand. Why? If it is named Hamviru, it should be like Hamir, not like Kedar. Correct? There is no reason. And Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar was a very, very, very logical person. Very systematic. His thinking is so clear. He would not have done it. So my idea is that maybe some version that he heard of Hamir had this Kedar mixed into it. Even today there are people who sing Hamir which will have traces of Kedar if the training is not good, if the guru has not taught it properly. Okay? Because the ragas, two ragas are very close to each other. I shall sing Kedar first. Today when I give a Jugalbandi concert, I am pairing our Hamir Kalyani with Kedar only, because that seems to be, I cannot pair it with Hamir because the gap is very wide. Anyway. Kida.
Kanhare Nandana Kanhare Nandana Kanhare Nandana Kanhare Nandana Paramanirandana He Dukhavajana Kanhare Nandana Kanare 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 Nandana Kanare Nandana Kanare Kanhare Nandana Kanhare 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 Nandana Kanhare Kana Samaga Bama Dama Bama 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 Pada Bama Pada See, in my mind, even though there are so many notes, as a prefix to Devata, it is Devata. Da 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 sa da da ba ma ri da kana re kana re kana re kana re kana re kana re samaga ba ma da ba ma da ba ma ma ri da ni da ri mama re da ni da re da da ma ga ba ma ma ga ri da ma ga ba ma da da ba ma ba da ni ri da ri da ni ri da ba ma da ba ma ba ba ga na re ba 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 ma ba da da ma ba ba ma ma ri ri da sa ma ma ba ba da 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 ba ga na re Paramanirandana. So we think the idea of Swarakshara is Carnatic, but in Hindustani also, a lot of compositions. Paramaniran Pa Panchama Ma Ran Ni Ran Paramaniranjana 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 He Dukhavanjana Kare. So this is the raga which you will generally associate with Parimala Ranganatham. Some of you have heard Parimala Ranganatham Bhaje Ham Veera. There is where Hamir comes. Veera. This Pagamadapa. I will now sing Hamir for you. Confuse you a little bit more. Ajab duniya, jab duniya, ajab duniya, jariya kahare, agamari. That is the prayoga in Hamir. Nida pagamari, gamanida, nida pagamari. अजब दुनिया जारिया कहाँ है अजब दुनिया गमनिदा निजारिदा सदादा निजदा बागमरी गमनिदा निजदा अजब दुनिया जारिया कहाँ है अजब दुनिया जारिया कहाँ है चांद बजू नमका आगे के पाछे रे अजब दुनिया जारिया कहाँ है. This is Hamir. Sagamani dari sada pagamari pagamari sari sa gamari gamada nizada nizada pagamari. So when Hamvira comes in the composition, you have this descent up to Gandhara, right? Whereas the first part of it, Parimala Ranganatham Bhajeham Veera Nutam. So that Pagamari Gamapada Baba, that reveals that the confusion is indeed real, that the two ragas have kind of merged. That is a beautiful concept too. Though it is not stated explicitly that Hamir and Kedar have come together, it's a beautiful idea. We don't know if it was intentional for Dīkṣitar because it is not mentioned anywhere. Subbarama Dīkṣitar also doesn't mention anything about any such thing happening. So the words of this composition that I just sang, a composition of Kumar Gandharvaji, Ajab duniya jariya kahan re, jaan paryona meka aage ke pache re. Very simple Hindi if you are familiar. So please learn Hindi, whatever be the political claims. It's a very beautiful language. Ajab duniya. Ajab means ajuba. Ajuba means puzzling. Puzzle is called ajuba. Miracle, puzzle, dilemma, all of them is ajab. Duniya. This wondrous duniya. Duniya means world. Jariya kahan re? He's asking a question to himself. Where are you going? We say life is a journey, no? So here the next question. Where are we? Where are you going? Jaan paryona meka. I am not able to figure out whether I am going forward or whether I am going backward. This is very true for tradition. Whether we are going forward, munnetrama alla pinvangroma. Whether we are moving forward or backward is a question that we have to engage. I am not engaging with that question. Kumar Gandharva questions that of his own tradition. Right? Dekhiyo guniyan so, puchata unse main. Whoever great gunis there are, I ask them,
बता दे कहाँ ये आगे के पाछे रे. Please tell me, where is this? Is this forward or is this backward? So even a journey is defined by what point you are at. Whether you have moved and you are at a forward position, or whether you have moved back and you are at a backward position. Okay? Anyway. We have to kind of wind up. So I will Parimala Ranganatham, I will leave it to you to listen, because it's a very popular probably the most popular composition in our Hamir Kalyani is that. I shall sing one composition that I learnt from Professor S.R. Janakiraman a long time back. So I have in Hamviru. This is not there in the Sankita Sampradaya Pradarshani. But like I said, at the cost of repeating, it is still a valid Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar composition, because it comes from a Karna Parampara. Purara Nandana. Inge manda Hamviro Nandana Ripukula Bhanjana Shikhindra Vana Mahendra Palana Purara Nandana. The Daivata prayōga also. Da Pamagama Da, which I find in Hamir. Okay. Purara Nandana Ripukula Bhanjana Shikhindra Vana Mahendra Palana Purana Nandana Karunamrita Rasa Saga That Dirgham on Devat also, Hamir. Karunamrita Rasa Sagara Taruna Nidakara Shekhara Shekhara Suravairi Kala Puravairi Bala Guru Gazarasija Karaskandalila Purayara Nanda Jipusu Dipukula Vanjana Shikhindra Vana Mahendra Palana. I have to refresh this composition. Romba varsham munadi kathundadu. And Pama Pagama Risa. Or a Chittaswaram irukku. In which Pama Pagama. That is very typical of Hamir. Pama Pagama Risa. Mari Pama Dabasa. Nisa Disa Disa Ni Sada Pama Daba. Gamarisa Nisa Daba Gamarisa. Garisa Sani Daba. Pava Mari Risa. Urara Nanda. Anyway, there are ragas like, so the adaptation here is very beautiful. There are ragas like Asavari. Asavari also is mentioned in the SSP, Sankita Sampradaya Pradarshani, as a raga from the north. Though it is all of these ragas, just because they came from the north, it doesn't mean they are any lesser of us, of Carnatic. Okay, they've all been absorbed into the system, and they are very solidly Carnatic tradition, right? They are not flaky. They have developed personalities of their own. Over so many generations of the adaptation, over 500 years of adaptation, it is now rightly a Carnatic raga. I don't want to sound as if it continues to be a borrowed and a lesser raga. You get what I'm saying? So so Asavari also. So it is classified under Todi Raganga. Jana Todi, not Hanumat Todi, Jana Todi Raganga in his nomenclature. Asavari, the meaning of the word itself is, it's a name for Radha. Savara is Krishna, which means the dark one. Savare, Savan, all of them signify dark. We call Savariya, no? You would have heard the word Savariya. It comes in Hindi film songs all the time. Savariya refers to Krishna, the lover. And he is dark. Asavari is she who is fair. It is like the yin and yang. We have not said that. But for me, it is a very beautiful concept of opposites but not opposed to each other. They are opposites of dark and fair but not opposed to each other. They make one. That is the concept behind. You've heard the word yin yang? Some of you may have heard. It's a similar concept. But we have never mentioned it to be this. Though we are saying Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna, we'll say, why do we say Radhe Krishna? Because of the idea that there are nothing which is opposed in this universe. They may seem opposites, but they are not opposed. You get the philosophy? Anyway, okay, so Asavari refers to Radha. The Ragamala paintings also depict Radha. Asavari. In Hindustani, Asavari is like this. Sarema pada marisa dadama pama padanida marisa. In Hindustani, there are two types of Asavaris. One is Shuddha Rishabh Asavari and one is Komal Rishabh Asavari. It seems that in Carnatic, both these Asavaris have come together to make one. Sari ma pa da sa da pa pa ma ri ga ri sa pa ma ri ga ri sa pa da sa sa. Right? Chandram bhaja. But Dīkṣitar in his very uncanny way minimizes that vivaditvam of the Chatushruti Rishabha. Chandram bhaja manasa. So, அந்த தோடி மாதிரி தான் கேட்கும். Manasa. But அந்த மபா மாறி அந்த ரிஷபம் கேட்கணும் கொஞ்சம். Manasa sadhu hridaya sadrisham. You've heard this composition for Monday. Chandram bhajamanasa sadhu hridaya sadrisham. Indradi loka paledita. That is it echoes the Asavari of the north in terms of the movement of Sada Padamarisa Pama Padajisa. The Jaru, the Dhatus of the composition mirror the Asavari that Dīkṣitar has heard. Kaladharam Nishakaram Indira Sagodaram Sudhakaramanisham. On first hearing, you will hear it as a slightly differently rendered Todi. Right? Because that Chatushruti Rishabha, he is hiding it so well. The Asavari that many of us sing is not correct. Dasharathanan, we sing that Riri Mama, but that Chatushruti Rishabha comes only in one prayoga. Pamariga Riza. That is the only place it's allowed. I used to play Chandram. Then I corrected myself. when I knew better, when my Guru said so and provided me with the basis for that. Chandram. The arrogance of ignorance. I heard M.S. Gopalakrishnan play Chandram with the Shuddha Rishabha. Then because he was close to me, I went and asked him, Sir, ninga the Shuddha Rishabha was seleri. Sari marara. Not in Chandram. Sari marara intigaka. Abdi was sir. Sari ma. Namayana papa. Nayana was in the Sari ma. We felt that was more beautiful. Sari ma. The Chatushuddha Rishabha. But then when I dug up theory, it is supposed to be Sarima pada sa sanida vada pamariga risa. That is the chalan, that is the description of the raga. Okay? Am I getting across in terms of how the Asavari, the two are getting adapted? And the hiding of the nishada also. Sanida pa varad. In Dīkṣitar's Asavari, Sanida vada pamariga risa. That is the movement. So movement of the Sangati is as important as the swaras of the Sangati, if you want to understand the raga. Because the nishada alpatvam, nishada is not mentioned, and that kaisiki nishada is more an anuswara. Sarema pada sa sada marisa. That is how your Guru will teach you Asavari as aroha avroha. Jarina Jarari Jasari Ma Pada Ma Pada Risa. Again, this Darisa that Darisa prayoga. Darisa you find in Nama Asavari, in Carnatic Asavari. Darisa Dama Mabadani Dama Risa. Right? So while going up, the Panchama is very important. Rima Pa Pa Rima Pa Da Da Ma. While coming down, it is Madhyama which is prominent. Pada Sada Marisa. The dynamics of even aroha avroha are so fascinating. Right? All this, if you choose to be fascinating. If you choose to be fascinated, then it is fascinating. I'll come to question a little later. Janam janam se main to tumharo das. Janam janam se main to tumharo das. Janam janam se main to tumharo das. Swaraksharam on da. Main to tumharo das. Das. Main to tumharo das. Sa mato tumharo mato tumharo das. Janama janama se mato tumharo das. Mato tumharo mato tumharo Manodharma, Dada Magarima Bada, Manodharma, Das, Janama, Janama, Manodharma, Das, Manodharma, Manodharma. Tumharo das, tumharo das, das janama janama
गुणी जनमागत गुणी जनमागत दान तुम्ही से गुणी जनमागत दान गुणी जनमागत दान तुम्ही से गुणी जनमागत दान तुम्ही से सुर बिना कछुना सुआवे मैं तुम्हारो दास जन्म जन्म से मैं तुम्हारो दास मैं तुम्हारो दास मैं तुम्हारो दास मैं तुम्हारो दास सरे बाबा दा नि दा मा बा दा मा गरि मा गरि मा बा दा सरे मा रे रे नि नि दा जी सरे रे नि दा मा बा दा नि दा मा गरि दा नि दा मैं तुम्हारो दास मैं तुम्हारो दास मैं तुम्हारो दास 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 Asavari adaptation. One very important adaptation is that of Jujawanti as Dujawanti or Jujawanti. This is the most radical adaptation. Gama gama ri ga ri sa sada ni ri ri ga ma pa ma ga ma ri ga ri ga ma ga ma pa da ga ma ri ga ri. You heard Jujawanti? Ga ma pa da ni da ga ma pa ma ga ma ri ga ri sa da da pa ri ri ga ma pa ni ni sa da da pa ni ni sa da da pa da da ga ma ri ma je jad janda sisa mukuta jada. So the swar mandal, this automatic swar mandal, when you are singing the antara gandhara, it will play the sadharana gandhara. Threw me off. But if you are playing it yourself, you will be careful. So the problem of this, what is it? Aitabla Pro Swaramandal. It sounds nice mostly, but when you have two entities, the Periyaga and Chinnaga, it can really be jarring, like it was now for me. உங்களுக்கு கேட்டதா தெரியல. ரே க ம ப த நி த ம க கா படுறேன் சார் நி த ப ம க அது வந்துட்டு இருந்துச்சு. க ம ப த நி த க ம ரி க ரி. This is the Jujawanti. This is the Jujawanti also of Akhilandeshwari. But there is a very common and valid notion that Akhilandeshwari is probably not a composition of Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar. Of course, it is not there in the SSP. The Kriti in the SSP is Chetasri Balakrishnam, and the treatment of that Jujawanti is very fascinating. Again, the subject of Vivaditvam. Ri ga ma ga ri ga ri. Rendu Gandhara. Ga ma ga ri ga ri.
In Hindustani, of course, they are very free with the idea of two Gandharas, two Nishadas. In fact, this raga in Hindustani has two Nishadas also.
Pani sada ni da pa ma pani ni sari sada ni da pa da ga ma ri ga ri.
Right?
So kanana kudala gala bicha mala.
The composition of Kumarji's, where the Nishada is so powerful. But we have hidden it in a Sada, Sada. We have hidden it, the Kakali Nishada.
Sada ni da pa maga maga ri ga ri sa.
Even the Ga, we will not do Ga ma ma ga ga ri. Is not there in Dīkṣitar's interpretation of Jujawanti. Right? This seems to have been, Jujawanti is mentioned even in Muddu Venkatamaki's Anubandha to the Chaturdandi Prakashika. Okay? So it seems to be around, but of course, adik Jeevan Kudutadu Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar, because it existed as a theoretical entity in the books, but the composition is what brought it to life. Always remember, what you find in the books, unless it comes very powerfully into practice, you cannot consider that as a valid entity. Bookla mattu irundha poradu. Adila wonderful composition irukkanum. That's why I will credit Jujawanti to Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar, even though it is there in the book. In the book, all the ragas are already there. There is nothing to be discovered. Right? Anyway.
Tadim 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 tadiyana ridare dani dim tadani dim 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 dani tadim 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 tadiyana ridare dani dim tadani dim 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 dani tadim tadim.
It's a very beautiful tarana of my guru, Pandit Rajan Mishra. We will not have time for that. But you see the prayoga is the heart of Jujawanti. Other than the swaras, right?
Pari ga mari ga ri sa pari ga mari ga ri sari da ni da pa ni da pa da ga mari ga ri ta di ta di.
Anyway, Dīkṣitar, when he adapts a raga like this, we don't know what the drive was for him to seat this very powerfully in the Carnatic idiom. And Subbarama Dīkṣitar also mentions that Purvacharyas, people who know the tradition, will sing Jujawanti. It is not called Dujawanti, it is called Jujawanti, having the phrases of Yadukula Kamboji and Sahana. We see that in the composition, right? How many of you heard Chetasri Balakrishnam? Some of you. Okay, very good. So, Chetasri Balakrishnam Bhajare Chintitartha Prada Charanara Vindam Mukundam. That whole line is Yadukul Kamboji. Sarima Gama Pama Pada Sada Nidava Pamagari Rigasa. Right? This is full and full Hari Kamboji. But how he is able to pass off this within Jujawanti is what is the magic is. Taking the support like pillars holding up a foundation. The raga is a huge entity. So you hold it up with the help of supports of ragas already strong in the tradition. Yedukula Kamboji is already a strong entity in Carnatic. It contains, Sahana is already a strong entity in Carnatic by that time. When the interpretation happens, when the adaptation happens. So, imbuing the raga with the elements of Yedukula Kamboji, Sahana, a little bit of Kedara Gaula, you find that this raga becomes Carnatic. Nutanadi Putanadi Samharam Purushottama Avataram Sitala Hridaya Viharam Sri Rukmini Dharam. And the Gandharam, right? That is the Kampita Gamaka. But if you want to listen to, if you want to hear Ga there, it is there. But it is fully Sajanidapa. It's all Yedukul Kamboji. Navatulasi Vanamalam Danizanida. That the Devata Dirga also prayoga in Yedukul Kamboji. Navatulasi Vanamalam Naradadi Munijalam. And the Sadharana Gandhara eppadi avar Navatulasi Vanamalam Naradadi Marigari. We find this in lot of we find this in Abogi, we'll find this Sri Ranjani. The way the Gandhara is treated, it's not Marigari. It doesn't draw attention to itself. Within the Gamaka framework, Marigari Sanisa Gari Sadri Magamadi. The Gamaka. Kuvalayadi Paripalam Pariri. I told you the Jiva of Jujawanti. But he, by the help of Kampita, Kuvalayadi Parivalam Guru Guganuta Gopalam. That Rigasa, that Riga Mapamagamari. That is Sahana. Right, Riga Mapa. That phrase Riga Mapama Gamari Garisa. And the Garisa Angada Jujawanti Varde. So the phrase is that of Saranga, but it becomes Jujawanti by the very discrete proportion of that Sadharana Gandhara. Right? Riga ma pada ba maga ma ba maga mariga risa. So I remember an incident about 10 years back when I was playing the violin in Krishnagana Sabha. I was playing a solo and I chose to play this version of Jujawanti. There was one man strongly stood up and objected. Because he had heard only the Akhilandeshwari Jujawanti. Tappa was Kerala. I didn't want to engage with him. But later on I told him, no, this is the Jujawanti of Dīkṣitar. Sarima padada sanidapa dapa maga mariga risanida pariri riba magariga sari ma padapa dapa maga riga ma pama paripama gasari pamaga madava madava maga magava maga maga mamari garisani dapa. Right? So that this is the adaptation which you learn through a good. Again, I learned this from my great guru, Professor T. Vishwanathan. the adaptation of, with the help of pillars of existing powerful ragas like Yadukula Kamboji, Sahana, you are able to integrate that so-called alien commodity and make it like a homegrown commodity. Correct? Like how this is my, some of you may have heard, like how we have paneer topping on pizza. Correct? Chettinad paneer pizza or paneer butter masala pizza. Pizza is an alien entity. It's an Italian dish or whatever American dish. The moment we put paneer butter, it becomes Indian. So we take the help of a powerful entity. I'm a foodie, so many of my examples have to do with food. And it becomes Indian. Right? There is no pizza outlet in India which doesn't have a paneer makhani pizza or a paneer tikka masala pizza. Correct? And they are the largest selling. Because it by the addition of something which is already homegrown, it can root itself in as if it belongs here. The philosophy of adaptation and borrowing, this is a very common mechanism and a strategy. Okay? You will find it everywhere. In all walks of life, in all walks of culture, you will find that borrowing and adaptation will always use what is already powerful in the home ground. Okay? So, idha patti konjam kutti pesalam, but we will end here. I wanted to mention ragas like khamas. Khamas also again the problem of vivaditvam and how Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar bypasses that of the two nishadas. How he hides it. Briefly, like Khamaj, in this also Sriram Dīkṣitar mentions it's a North Indian raga. Right? Gama pada ni da pa gama ga. Gama pada ni da ni pada sada ni da pa ni da ga pa ma ga. That is Khamaj. Mana mohana shamar siyar, mana mohana shamar om, mana mohana shamar siyar, mana mohana shamar siyar, mana mohana shamar siyar, mana mohana shamar siyar. Niko lage bali jaun chhabi देखत हार मन मोहन राम रसिया पानी निजा निदा दामा गबनी नि सगा सा निदा पद निजा गबनी निजा निदा पद मामा गा गबनी निदा मन मोहन राम रसिया निको लागे बलि छाऊं छवि देखत हारी मनमोहन श्याम रसिया. So in this Khamaj, it is very clear that the Kakali Nishada and the Kaisiki Nishada are having equal power. But again, due to the theoretical causal factor of Vivaditvam, Dīkṣitar, as compared to Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja is very clear. In all these ragas, he uses both of them. Even in raga like Brindavana Saranga, where we have Dīkṣitar has tried to put this urge of his down, so to speak, of avoiding Vivaditvam, and how we'll keep it for another day. But Khamas, Santana Gopala Krishnam Upasvake, so Nidani Sa. So only as an Anuswara that Kakali Nishada. Throughout the composition, it makes its presence felt but apologetically. The nishada apologizes for its being there. You have to take it in the spirit. I don't mean the nishada is apologizing, but chuma ina irken remind panu. Shri Rukmini Satyabhama Sametam Arjuna Prema Spadam, because it comes under the Rāga of Harikeda Gaula 28. Ashrita Jana and the Ashrita Jana. So and the இடத்துல நிறைய பிளேசஸ்ல அந்த சதானி பதகமா நீதாபா தனிசா தனிசா, right? So both the nishadas used, adapted very beautifully, right? So there are a couple of more ragas, but it's already 12:20. I have also not had breakfast, because if I have breakfast I cannot sing. So I am also hungry. I'm sure all of you are hungry too. There's another program which happens in half an hour. So, seeking the grace of Muttusvāmi Dīkṣitar and his beautiful lineage, and my gurus who have imparted to me these compositions and these ragas and insights so generously, my pranams to their lotus feet. Thank you all very much for your presence and allowing me to share my thoughts with you on this. This is a very big topic. Maybe we'll have a part 2 next year. Who knows? Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you. Namaskar.